Hello, everybody. My name is Angelo Gargaro, and I'm the Director of Student Conduct in the Student Affairs Office at Point Park University. Nobody is in trouble. I am just here to MC.
Maybe me.
I am just here to moderate and MC this webinar with the Center for Student Success, specifically focusing in on the School of Communication. So first of all, congrats on selecting Point Park. Really excited to have you all join the community here in the fall. Really excited for that. And this webinar is just going to be an opportunity for you to meet your student success coordinator, one of the faculty members in the School of Comm, the assistant vice president of academic affairs, and the overseer of the Center for Student Success. Get some information on what this department does, and then we're going to open up a Q&A for you to ask any questions that you have. It can involve the Center for Student Success, and it can even go outside of that. Some housekeeping rules for everybody in the webinar, just so you know. Nobody is on camera except for the people here that you see right now in the Center for Student Success. So all of you attending, your video is not on, your audio is not on, so don't worry about any, barking dogs in the background or getting the hair ready. You will not be on any webcam, but there are ways for you to interact with us, and we encourage you to do so. In the control panel, you will see a questions tab. If you open that up, you can send in a question. I will be moderating the questions, and I will facilitate those to the members of the Center for Student Success. So you can enter in your questions whenever you want, but the Q&A will open up here in a little bit. So without any further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce you all to Molly McClelland, who is the Assistant Vice President of Academic Affairs. Molly, how's it going?
Yeah, it's good. So I like overseer of the Center for Student Success way better. So
you got it.
Everybody in the world calls me Molly, and I hope that you all feel just comfortable and inclined to do the same. So I'm the overseer, or as I like to acknowledge much more truthfully, I am part of a really remarkable team in the Center for Student Success, and I'm really grateful for the talents and experience and just the knowledge that's housed within our department, specifically within our coordinators. And I can't speak more highly of anybody than I do of Emily Quidetto, who happens to be the Student Success Coordinator assigned to all of your majors. And we also have with us Thom Baggerman, who is the former chair and also the keeper of all sorts of information about the School of Communication. And so I just wanted to stress what the vibe is really about our webinars and what we hope to accomplish here. Everybody has questions. This is a massive transition, whether you're coming from high school or if you're coming from another institution. So we want to use this as the first of many opportunities for you to just kind of like dump your brain and anything that you're thinking about or anything that you're worried about, for you to know that this is a safe space, that there is unlikely any question that you might have that we haven't heard before, but that we really start to establish a culture where we share, and it's okay to feel confused, or it's okay to ask questions. And I think that the most important takeaway from this event is that you know who Emily is, you know that you have Thom as a faculty representative, and certainly that you have me and any member of the CSS team as part of your journey. And there are very much close to 0% of problems that we can't find a path forward through. And so what I encourage from you is communication and just openness and willingness to ask questions, and we'll take it from there. So I have been part of the CSS team. I've been the director of Center for Student Success for close to 10 years-ish, I think now. And I don't know exactly what that looks like on me, but it's been a while. And I've been in the role of advisor on through overseeing the work that we do. And there's no more important work that's being done on our campus. So know that you have a person that you can go to, and Emily, that can be your first point of contact in just any of the questions that you might have. It's hard to associate what you've had in college or at another institution and to map that on directly to what Point Park does and how we do it. And I will emphasize the way Point Park does it, because I think that the choice to be at a small institution like ours is just testament to that's what you're looking for. So know Emily, she's the most brilliant and life coachy individual that you could have. And if I were to select my own, she would be the one. So this is an opportunity for you and your parents or anyone that logs in to ask any of the questions that you have. So please don't shy away. We're respectful of that transition. And so just pop anything that you might have into the questions as we proceed through the webinar. The great thing about the Center for Student Success is, in addition to the questions that you have about your courses and your degree progress, we're also home to a wonderful set of support resources in tutoring, accessibility services, and I can't express enough the number of connections that we have across the university. So if you ever need a place to land, a soft place to land and a soft place to ask questions, this is it. And so with that, I celebrate and turn my attention to Emily Quidetto, your Student Success Coordinator.
I'm not quite sure how to follow up with all of that. But hi, everyone. My name is Emily Quidetto. I am the Student Success Coordinator for the School of Communication. I have been in the Center for Student Success for 10 years. I've been at Point Park for 20, which is amazing and must have mean I started when I was 6. So I've been around to a couple different offices. I know a lot of people, and like Molly mentioned, a lot of times I may not be your final destination, but I'm a nice spot to land. I know, who to get you to if you don't. So if you have a question, you don't know who to talk to, it's me. And I'll move on and let Thom talk.
Nice. I'm Thom Baggerman. Everyone calls me Thom. I'm a professor in the School of Communication. I've been in comm for about 12 years here at Point Park. I was chair for 7 of those years and worked hand in hand with Emily every one of those years to help advise students. So that's why I'm here today. I have a lot of background in the sort of questions you might ask. I teach in broadcasting, multimedia, and the comm course, so the chances are good that you'll run across me at some point. Yeah, I think that's me.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for taking time to introduce yourselves. And a few things that I just want to add. First of all, maybe I should have said this. I used to advise in the Center for Student Success, so it's nice to be back with some familiar faces. And I just want to echo the work that CSS does. I enjoyed my time there, and the relationships that they create with students can last longer than the 4 years that you'll be at Park. You'll have some highs and some lows throughout your time, both in college and throughout life. So get used to reaching out for help and going to CSS for whatever you need. They're an amazing group of people, and I love them dearly. So to reiterate the functionality of this webinar, because we are going to be transitioning into the Q&A portion, because that's really what this is all about. You're going to be getting a bunch of information throughout the rest of this summer as you head into Pioneer Experience and as you head into the new academic year. So we want to kind of get in front of you to answer very specific or maybe general questions that you have, whether it's surrounding your course schedule for the fall or adding a minor, or maybe you already picked a major, but now you're not so sure about it. Maybe you want some more information on the major that you're in. Perhaps you have some questions about finances. Now, I know we're not finance people here, but we can definitely get you the information, the contact information that you need. So let those questions start to percolate. And if you want to add them into the Q&A, green light right now to go ahead and do so. To make you feel a little bit more comfortable about it as well, all of your questions will come in anonymous. I'll see who posted it, but I'm not going to say your name out into the ether. So don't worry about that. We're just going to reiterate the question out to the crew so that they can answer it and move right along. So with that, why don't we see if we can get some questions rolling into the Q&A. You will find the questions box in the control panel. Just type in your question and we'll go from there. So let's see if we can get some of these going here. It's always tough to get the first one.
I'm going to be a little preemptive and start on my own. So everybody should have received their schedule. I sent out the emails this week with information on getting in and accessing your freshman schedule. So a couple of things that you're going to note on there. Typically, they're 15 credits. Full-time status is anywhere from 12 to 18. So 15 is a nice middle of the road to get you started. A couple other things that might be confusing on that schedule are the days of the week when your classes meet. MW, Monday and Wednesday, but the TH messes everybody up. If you see an H alone, that's Thursday. If you see a TH, it's Tuesday and Thursday. So please go to class on Tuesday. That there is one really big difference that you're probably going to notice whenever you look at that schedule. Class times could start at 8 o'clock. You may not have another one until 1 o'clock. You're going to have gaps in there. A lot of times classes are back to back. A lot of times they're spread out. So time management is a really big issue whenever you hit college as compared to high school when you're there for that set block of time and then you have your extracurriculars after. This is where you're, figuring out a work schedule. You're figuring out a study schedule, when you need to be in class, make sure you're going to class, all of those little things, and it's a big change. I do recommend students actually sit down with either a calendar or a weekly calendar, hard copy, virtual, whatever you want to do, especially that first semester. It really helps get everything situated into a routine. So if that's my first piece of advice to all of you.
Awesome. Love it. We do have some questions coming in right now. So first of all, thank you to everybody sending in the questions. I see you, and we are going to start to throw these out. So one of the first questions in, and this is a great one, especially for School of Comm students, is laptop recommendations, particularly for a multimedia major. So Emily, Tom, what say you?
We actually have a recommendation we can send out to you, but it's pretty generic, and here's why. The key is you need to get a computer that can run the Adobe Creative Suite. So that includes especially that the highest bandwidth programs in there are Adobe Premiere and Adobe After Effects. So if you go to the Adobe site and look up those programs, that will give you the specs for your computer. We have an email that we can send around, and we can certainly, if you have one and you want to email me or you want to email Emily or someone from the School of Comm, we can give you some feedback on your choice. But generally speaking, the key is making sure, especially for multimedia, that you've got something with the horsepower to run video editing. Now, we have a ton of computers on campus that can do that. So if you're not in a position to get a high-powered computer to do your video editing, we have lots of labs for that sort of thing. But if you are, you definitely want to look at Adobe for the specs. Most of us in comm prefer Mac to PC. That's just sort of a long-term creative professional bias. I don't know that it's legit, but I've been captured by the cult of Mac. So that would be my recommendation. If you want to email us, we can bounce that sheet back to you, but really going to the Adobe site and just looking at the current requirements for Premiere and After Effects is your best route.
Just look at Angelo's face when you talk about Mac.
I love it. I love it. I am a Mac fan, and I definitely recommend it for people in the creative realms of education. I do different work on podcasts and I use Premiere Pro and different Adobe Creative Cloud applications, and I certainly enjoy that experience on a Mac. So can't go wrong there. I did add a link into the chat that everybody should be able to see that has the Adobe Creative Cloud system requirements that Tom had mentioned. So you can go and check that out. And if you have other questions about that, email Emily and Tom. I'll be putting their emails into the chat here in a minute so that you can go and reach out to them outside of this webinar. So great question there. This next one, I believe this is a question about AP, but I'll read it as is. So with dual enrollment credit from high school, how long does it take to hear whether your credits transfer after sending transcripts?
Depends on when you had them sent in. If they're sent in now, I would say it's probably about a week turnaround once they're received. You'll get an email typically from your admissions counselor. If that was college credits that taken like through a community college or something like that while you were in high school. If it's AP scores, they usually show up towards the end of summer, end of July, beginning of August. We will automatically see when you have credits that come in, your freshman schedule will be changed if needed based on that credit evaluation.
Awesome. Thank you for that information. I also, I saw Tom put his email in the chat.
The one thing that I do want to stress is that if you've taken college in high school, it's important to know whether or not that credit has been forwarded by your high school or if that's something you're responsible for. So there are kind of differences in the arrangements that high schools make with colleges. And sometimes that shows on your high school transcript. So we see that in the admissions process. Other times it's really incumbent upon the student and family to go to the institution where you took those credits and have them, the transcripts sent to our admissions office so that we have a picture of everything that you've taken.
Beautiful.
You can always reach out to your admission counselor as well and see if college transcripts have been received by the university.
All right, that's a lot of information. I'm also putting into the chat right now a email for the admissions department. It's just the main alias if you don't remember the admissions counselor that you worked with. I also put in the registrar's office. They might be able to help with some articulation, understanding on why something transferred, didn't transfer. And look, you know, sometimes there could be some human error, so it doesn't hurt to reach out to the registrar's office as well and just ask for clarification, ask for a double look on things. Anything that you've taken in the past, you know, you deserve to have some understanding as to why or why not it's transferred in so that you can understand what you will be taking at Point Park University. So all that information is in the main chat there. I'm going to move along here. We've got some more questions. So this one is, when will we get information about our roommates? I'm going to jump in and give a general answer if anybody else has more to that. With me being in student conduct, I'm in the student affairs office, which student life and housing is in that. So I actually am seeing them right now working on placement. So they are going through for students who have deposited and filled out the housing applications. They are now going through per your preferences and matching you to the building that you preferred, to everything in between. So you should be getting emails from the student life email, and they will be giving you that information. But if you have any questions about it specifically, definitely reach out to the student life office. I'll put their email in the chat as well. Molly, do you have anything else to add about that?
I do. So if you're a student that's requesting a housing accommodation, so if you have a diagnosed disability concern that you bring to the campus, we want to make sure that you are absolutely supported from day one in both the way that you live and the way that you experience academics in all facets of Point Park life. So if you haven't done so already, the jumping off point is for you to submit an application through the accessibility office. They will triage that information and make sure that they are setting an appointment with you, which is the next step. So get the form in, and then the next step is for you to set an appointment. You'll speak with our Director of Accessibility, Cole Eskridge, and we'll really try to understand your disability context and the things that have helped make you successful in the past, And to the extent that we can, we will absolutely ensure that those are done on the college campus. To be clear, and just because I think this is such important information to know, there's a difference between accommodation at the high school level versus what we do in college. There is a webinar that is scheduled for July 29th, or I'm sorry, July 26th. You will have received those links from your student success coordinator, and that's much more specific to the accommodations process. But the long and short of this is that you need to get your application in and documentation in as soon as you can. If those are housing related, we like to know those as soon as possible, because housing selection for our returning students has already happened. For our incoming students, July 1 is that housing deposit. So we really need to make sure that we're prioritizing those students with unique housing needs first, and then we work to get everybody else in around that. If you wait and you don't disclose, and I'll say this, right, there's often this feeling for students and families when they transition from high school to college that, oh, I don't want the support resources. I don't want the stigma. I don't want all that goes with it. It's most important for us to know up front, you always have the choice not to enact those accommodations, those support systems. That's totally up to you. But when folks don't know, and I mean that in terms of housing, your student success coordinator and your faculty, we're kind of operating blindly. So you're probably used to an IEP meeting with you and your family and teachers and a whole extended group of services. We don't quite do that at the college level. So there is no IEP plan where all of your teachers that you run into and everybody that comes in contact with you knows the nature of your diagnosis and what that means. We need the diagnosis only so that we can exercise caution and protect what it is that your things are, and only are mindful in presenting what it is that we need for folks to do to make sure that you can be successful. So everything is anonymous, but if we run into a point where capacity is an issue, so if we need a housing accommodation and we don't know about it until late August, the likelihood of those things happening based upon the number of students who have been accommodated and the number of students that are placed is unlikely. So if that's your experience, Cole Eskridge is phenomenal, has been messaging students about the process. So if you've already submitted the form, the next thing that we really need for you to do is to schedule a meeting with Cole so that Cole can have a conversation about the things in your experience that have been beneficial or detrimental, and so that we can work as a team to create something that's supportive at Point Park.
Awesome. Thank you, Molly. And definitely want to reiterate, getting any information to Cole, the accessibility department. Cole's amazing. They recently joined Point Park last year. Fresh young perspective on an area that is growing and needs as much love and support as possible. So definitely take advantage of that. Cole's email is now in the chat, so make sure you go and send a message to them if you need to. This next question, I'm going to give this one to Emily, and it's a good one. Where do we see and view our fall schedule?
So you can see your fall schedule in Point Web. So at this point, you should have access to this. Once you log in, you'll go to the student tab at the top of the page. And then from there, typically I will tell you to go to course information, which is on the menu to the left. Scroll down the page, and right there in the middle, you'll see student schedule. It kind of gives you a brief overview. You can click view details, and it'll give you more information about the instructors and those type of things around the course. But everything is available to you in Point Web. I would recommend just get in there and look around. Point Web is the student portal that you're going to use eventually to add and drop your own courses. You can use Point Web to see your billing statement, all kinds of things through there. So It's a really nice time to get in there and just kind of familiarize yourself with where everything is. Point Web also has a lot of links for helpful information. Like there's a link where you can sign up for tutoring right through Point Web. So little things like that, just get in there, take a look. You have access to all of that at this point.
Awesome, thank you. And I put the link to Point Web in the chat as well. So definitely take the advice from Emily, go and check it out. I remember being heading into my freshman year for my undergrad and just like wanting to dive into all this in the summer. I'm a little nerd, I guess, but definitely take advantage of just seeing your resources. And with Point Web, the best way to get familiar with it is just kind of playing around. You're not going to break anything if it's not already broken. So definitely check it out. This next question is in the same vein as schedule. So this one's specific to how would somebody go about requesting a schedule change, Emily? Is there a specific process that you follow or recommendations that you would give?
Right now, email me. That's the big one. If you need a change, just because you don't want to wake up in the morning is not a reason for a schedule change. Your cousin told you that a different instructor is better is not a reason for, necessarily a reason for a schedule change. Unless it's Tom. But if it's something like a family obligation, commuting to school, you are on an athletic team and a lot of your games are at a specific, day and time, things like that, absolutely. We can talk about schedule changes. We can see what else is available and kind of go from there. As an incoming freshman, there are a couple classes that we absolutely cannot change. So the course itself, depending on if you're an honor student, you need to be in a specific section of a course, or if you are part of a foundations program, a specific section of a course. All freshmen coming in must take the University 101 course, so you're not going to get out of that one. Freshmen are also required to do an English 101 and a Comm 101, a composition and a public speaking. I teach the public speaking. It's not bad, I promise. So for all of the introverts, I was there, I get it. Typically, you'll take either English or Comm, one in the fall, one in the spring. So the other courses are typically major courses that are on your schedule first semester. The School of Communication has an 8-semester sequence of courses that we try to stick to as close as possible, because that's the guaranteed way that you're going to graduate in that 4-year time frame. So all of the courses as a freshman that are on your schedule fall perfectly in line with that sequence.
I remember my time advising in CSS and answering a lot of questions about this. There's definitely intention behind what they're doing, why you're scheduled the way you are, whether it's to meet certain prerequisites. There's even like a looser kind of idea just by keeping you with your cohort, keeping you with the students that you came into the school with, and building that community, that camaraderie and everything. So yeah, it's definitely intentional, and you'll get through it, and you'll get to the classes that you really feel you want to take. Just be patient. You'll be a very well-rounded student by the end of it all. I also want to add in a question myself that I just feels worth putting in. Emily, if you can maybe expand on this as well. You would mention athletes and maybe conflicts in their schedule. There is a difference between like their practice times and competition, and what they can and cannot miss for class. Can you just expand on that quickly?
This is not an excuse to miss class. Go to class. We do our best to schedule around your practice time, but there are certain times where you're going to have a course that is only offered at a specific time on a specific day. Definitely work with your coach. Let them know the circumstances around being in that class. You are a student athlete, so please go to class. As far as actual games or meets, whatever it may be, work with your course instructors. Again, we try to schedule around, so if a lot of your games are on Thursdays, we try our best not to give you that Thursday night class, things like that. So just, again, that's a lot of communication between your coach, between you, between us, between the faculty.
There have been some really strong athletic teams at Point Park, where they're not only performing well on the court or on the field, but their GPAs are really stellar. And that's really cool to see. And that's why I personally have a lot of respect for student athletes. I know they're balancing a lot, but keep the focus, keep the balance on both the academics and your athletics, and you will prevail. Moving on to the next question here. What are some of the best tools in the School of Communication that can help those with little to no experience in media technology?
We assume you don't have any. We are going to take you where you are and we're going to build you up from there. So for the people who have loads of it, we will often give them, we'll say, oh, you know a lot, then try this and see exactly how much they know. But generally speaking, if you have basic computer skills, we're going to take care of you from there. But I will also say that Point Park, I don't know, like 5 years ago, made the incredibly smart decision to buy LinkedIn Learning. So LinkedIn Learning is the prime way that people in every business get training, and especially software training. And the moment you start on campus, the moment you have an ID, actually, you can go there. You can learn Premiere before we ever teach you Premiere. You can learn Photoshop before you ever see it in the classroom. And these are world-class instructors. This is how we update our skills in order to stay current, and you have access to it. So whether you, and some classes we actually build around LinkedIn Learning. Some of our online courses are completely built around LinkedIn Learning. But in the classroom, we'll take care of you on your own. If you want to get ahead, start playing with LinkedIn Learning. Back in my day, learning Adobe After Effects was 32 VHS tapes.
Sounds like fun, Tom.
Yeah, it was a good summer. I liked that.
I'm also going to toss in join clubs, join activities, join things that are major specific or School of Communication specific. The upperclassmen love showing off what they know, and they will want to teach you what they know.
Yeah, I'll talk about that a little more in one of the other questions.
Getting ahead of us, Tom.
Maybe Tom's seeing where we're going here, because there's definitely a nice transition to this next question that we had. So somebody posted, I'm worried about making friends. What opportunities are there for students to get involved? And I just want to quickly jump in and just reiterate what Emily said about joining a student club, student organization. There's over 50 some, it's probably even higher than that, that cover an array, like a vast amount of interests and hobbies, whether it's something from like tabletop games to strong women, strong girls, and everything in between. And if there is not a club or organization that does not exist, you can create one yourself. You just have to get about 10 people who would be interested in joining the club, have a president, and I think a treasurer. I think that's the 2 officers that you need. And then you go to the sale office on the first floor of the student center, talk to somebody named Keely Sapienza, and she'll walk you through it. So what else do we have to add, though, to that particular question, guys?
I'm going to say you want to join 3 things as soon as you get to Point Park. You want to join some hobby/social club, like Angelo mentioned. You want to join one of the Point Park School of Communication professional clubs. So every single one of our majors has an associated student group. So for photography, it's the Photo Collective. For graphic design, it's the Graphic Design Club. For the broadcast fields, we have a chapter of the Broadcast Education Association. These are different. Oh, and for PR and ad, PRSSA and AdFed is mandatory. You should absolutely start that your first semester. And that's the thing. When I say first semester, I'm not joking about that. The fields you're thinking of entering are competitive. The people who do well are the people who get involved right away. And that's one of the things we prize at Point Park, is the ability to get you involved right away. So like Emily said, our upperclassmen love to show off what they know. So you get that in the clubs and you get that in our student media. So our student media, we have the Globe newspaper, which is photography and journalism and video, and basically it's a multimedia online newspaper and a print version. We have UView, which is television of all kinds, so studio television, remote television, that kind of stuff. We have WPPJ radio, and let me tell you right now, you should do college radio. I don't care what your major is, college radio is super fun. And PPJ is kind of a free format station, so you can do just about any kind of music you like. Really good time. And then the photo students have the Photo Collective and a magazine called The Fix, which is at least once a semester, sometimes twice a semester. It's a combination of words and pictures. It's really cool. So those are the places you want to make friends. And I will say I was a total introvert. I didn't leave my room during my first week of college except to go to orientation events. And the rest of the time I was just in my room and sad. It wasn't until I got involved with student media that I started to make friends. That was super game changing for me. It will be for you too. And the next question is, how do you get involved? We're going to take care of that. All right. Don't worry. During your first orientation session or your first class of media and society, you will have the opportunity to sign up, and then we will get people in touch with you. That's
Molly,
my spiel.
do you have anything else to add on ways that students can get involved around campus, or just ways to feel a little bit more included or in control of their, even like just like their social dynamic at Point Park?
Yeah, I definitely do. So I do also want you to know that there's a clubs and organizations fair that we hold annually. So the first week of classes, there's an opportunity for you to like just pen to pencil, sign your name up on a distribution list where someone will contact you about what it means to be in the club and organization and when their meeting times are held, etc. So that's one great experience. We like to encourage students to do both a like a thing that you like to do type of club, an interest-based group that just is the things that you like to do to decompress. So that might be like an outdoors group that's sponsored by the university, or maybe you're a gamer or whatever your fancy is, no judgment here, but there's somebody anime, if that floats your boat, we got that too. So that's part of it. In terms of thinking about next steps, we like to think about also clubs that speak to your major and your profession. So all of those three options, interest-based, major-based, and professionally based, exist within our community. And each of those are important in their own way. Like you won't make it through college unless you find your tribe, and we know that, and we work to provide you with as many opportunities to find that tribe as we possibly can. So, it's very much, and we understand that the dynamics of your education, where you've been the last couple of years, has changed that dramatically, has made that intimidating, has made that seem inaccessible. And so we're built to address those sorts of things. So, we want you to get a toe in so that a year from now, maybe you're doing like a cannonball in the deep end and screaming like a fool, or maybe that happens your senior year. But this is a process, and not all of you are going to enter college at the same place. And so it's important for you not to judge yourself in comparison to others, or feel like you're not where you quote unquote should be. So we have a whole range of learning styles, background experiences. We have tons of neurodiverse students on our campus. I mean, we're really an eclectic group. And so I think that the natural resistance or hesitation or fear at this moment is that no one's going to be quite like you. And, you know, we've had so many thousands of students go through Point Park, and so many millions of students do this, you know, through time. And so there really aren't that many scenarios that we haven't seen or that we're not equipped to deal with. And for those that stretch us, you know, I think the wonderful thing that happens at Point Park is that the closeness of our community allows us to learn from all of you as much as you learn from us. And so there are certainly spaces where students that are just coming to us are completely blowing our minds with the experiences that you've had, and also with the ways that pushes up against who we've been as professionals, who we've been as educators, and just as like human beings in the world. So we really are all in this together, and I hope that this is the first of many times where that's conveyed to you, and that you should never feel fearful of asking a question. The most successful students are those that just ask a question. And that doesn't have to be in a public speaking course and to everybody in the world. But if you find Emily, or if you find me, or if you say to Angelo, like, yeah, you know, I really vibe with you in this webinar, or Thom, like, you really are Thom and not, you know, Dr. or Professor Baggerman, that's what this is meant for. You know, just as much as you're getting from the classroom, it's the relationships and the network that you're building, both in terms of your professional aspirations, but also in the support mechanisms that we have available to you. This is not high school. We don't know what you're diagnosed with, wide scale. We don't know what your needs are. This is the first time where we really need for you to just ask a question, or just say, hey, I want to introduce myself. And we're hopeful that parents and families, at least at this stage, are involved. We do get to a point where we say, hello, parents, your child is an adult, and we need to honor that. And so I think that's important for parents that are listening to know that, you know, we're here to be allies and supports for your kid. And we very much respect the work that you've done up to this point. You got them here. And so we just ask that you trust in us to know that we'll continue the work, and that we understand the holistic needs of students, not just what they're academically or professionally going to pursue, but also in the million of ways that students and you yourselves and myself banged our shins in college and made fools of ourselves, and what that became to us later in life. So this is all part of it, and we just want to make sure that you know who your people are.
I also just want to add one last thing, and this is going to seem maybe silly, but if you're a residential student, like, don't just stay in your room. Go to the cafe, go to the residential dining facility, eat there. Even if it's by yourself, just go, because you go once or twice by yourself, pretty soon you're not going to be going by yourself. Go out to Village Park and read a book or study a little bit. Ask some people in your class to meet up in a lounge and study. Just even finding like a commonality in a specific course can build a connection with somebody that lasts a very long time. And a lot of these things are incremental, you know, like after your freshman year, maybe you start to really love the residential experience and you want to become a resident educator, which is like the RAs at Point Park, right? That's a whole group of student leaders that you can really find friends that last a lifetime there, but you really can't start that journey until sophomore year. You could get involved in SGA and a bunch of other, which is the Student Government Association. Sorry for using the acronym. So yeah, just be present, be available, go outside your comfort zone every once in a while, but make sure that you're paying attention, you know, to your own needs and your mental health and things like that. I also want to take a second to note that this is flying by. It is now 6:50. We have 10 minutes left, and we're going to maximize these 10 minutes. So if you have more questions, we're still answering. Go into the Q&A, drop the question, and we'll push this out. So let's get to maybe a few more here as we wind down this webinar. I don't know if the School of Comm, I guess we're going to find out if the School of Comm has this, but if you are transferring credits, can you also join the 4+1 program? Is that something you all have?
Mm-hmm. Yep, they take the place.
They can transfer credits and be part of the program?
I didn't hear what you said. Yeah.
Sorry, I was reiterating the question. So if you're transferring credits, you can also join the 4+1 program, correct? There we go.
Yes. Yes.
There we go. I like a good yes or no question, and I definitely drew that out a little bit longer than it needed to be, but why not?
No acceptance. I mean, it's really that the questions that you'll speak with Emily about are when you're completing that undergraduate degree and what space you have. You can take 2 classes in that final year, and so you just want to make sure that you're acknowledging both your requirements of your undergraduate degree and then what your next steps are going to be. So there are some particularities. Emily is amazing at knowing what that looks like. Most of that will happen in your final year here at Point Park. All of that.
This next one I'm going to toss to Emily. When can a student declare a minor?
Second semester, you can actually declare, but depending on the major and depending on the minor, we'll talk about it. But I like to say take the first class, see if you like it. It's a lot easier to declare than it is to undeclare. So we'll chat about it prior to spring registration. We'll figure out what class makes the most sense based on whatever minor you're looking to get into, and then we'll go from there.
There's another question from a different individual surrounding the 4+1, so I want to get this one out there as well. Can someone in the 4+1 still take on a double major or minor?
I'm going to let you take that one, Emily, because it's all a numbers game at that point.
Yeah, it really depends on the first major, what you want to do as your second major, or how many general electives you have in your program. So that really is just numbers. And again, depending on which degree program you're in. So that is something that we would need to sit down and really plot out. I would also say if you're looking to double major or even do a 4+1 program, talk to your faculty advisor about your career goals. Because a lot of times it may make sense to have a minor, it may make sense to double major. Sometimes it may just be overkill in certain fields. So the faculty advisor is the one who's been in the field. They know the careers, they know what you want to get into when you graduate. So they're your professional reference for all of that. Whenever you figure out exactly what you want to do, that's when you talk to me. I'm dotting the I's, I'm crossing the T's, I'm figuring out how to get you there. So that's kind of where we break as far as your CSS advisor versus your faculty advisor. But yeah, a major, a minor, and the 4+1, it's numbers and space in your program. So again, that's a talk to me.
One of the things that I also think is important to know, as you know, the cost of education is certainly present in everyone's mind. We do have policies that allow you to take things over the summer. So if you are thinking about these ambitious, I want to be a dual major, I want to do the 4+1, I want multiple minors, there is an opportunity to also use your summers. So classes at Point Park over the summer are discounted to the rate that our online students take classes, but we also have processes that let us evaluate the courses that you might take if you're in upstate New York and you're not close to the community colleges that serve the Allegheny County and Point Park area. So there are also opportunities for us. And if you're a freshman student on the call, we pre-register you. When you, in your fall semester, you'll register for your spring courses. And then when you register at spring, we talk about summer and what's to come of those summers. So if you are willing to do summer options, either at Point Park or by taking 2 classes at a college or university near you, it really opens up the board for us. So doing that makes other opportunities possible, because if you are alleviating some of what you might have to do while you're on our campus during the fall and spring, then you open up space to do other things. That said, you know, you do have major classes that are at certain days and times, and there's no wiggle room because it's your major and this is what you need and this is when they're offered. So doing that dance and negotiating that with Emily, I think is really important. I would also say that at your first advising meeting, let it be known what you're thinking about in terms of a double major, a minor, or a 4+1. The sooner the better, because there is strategy, and waiting, not always, but it can be an impediment for you to be doing all of the things that you want to do. These are aspirations that you have, knowing that in semester 1 versus semester 4 obviously gives us more time to play with what your options are.
So we have 3 minutes left. I want to just throw out the opportunity for anybody to ask any other questions that they have right now. And as you're thinking of it, any final last-minute questions, I just want to say that there will be a survey that you'll see pop up on your screen after this webinar is over. There's 3 questions. 3. 2 of them are multiple choice. So do the survey. It will help us know if this was beneficial. You can leave some feedback, and maybe you have a question that you didn't want to ask in this webinar, which is more than fine. There is a question in there that allows you to ask us a question, and we will respond to you privately via email and give you the information that you need. So please take the opportunity to do that. This last question that I see came in is, what does orientation week look like? I will just start and say that, number one, it's an amazing experience. There's a grad assistant who is the orientation coordinator, Margaret Hinnebush, who literally her entire role is to come up with the most engaging, informational, but not like informational dumpy kind of stuff, like just the best, most cohesive experience to make sure that you feel comfortable in your new home, that you make some friends, that you see the resources and staff and faculty and all of that. There will be a full schedule of different sessions that you go to. You'll be placed into a small little group of about 10 with somebody that's called a Pioneer Ambassador, which is PA for short. You'll get to really know them, and they'll become a resource and friend to you throughout your time here. So that's like a really global overview. Does anybody have anything else to add about what orientation week might look like with about a minute left?
I'll say this, and I know that there's an experience also over the summer for transfer students. You think like, I know this, I got this. It's really about, again, the relationship building, and I emphasize this not just in the student level, like, who are your people? How do you connect with people in your major and make friends and all of that? That's one side of this. It's also important that you take the opportunity to connect with people that are your support systems from here on out. And if you take nothing more from this, there are certain touch points that we offer throughout the summer that help you to really get connected. So let this be a connection to your person or your persons in the CSS, but also the people that you meet during orientation and your Pioneer Ambassadors, their students have been through it. And we're really grateful for the willingness that they have to share their experiences with other students. So we pitch this a certain way, and we think that it's going, so every student is going to be impacted the same way. Your fellow students will also give you their experience as well. So listen to what people are saying. Use your student success coordinator as the voice of authority, because there's a lot of bad advice that might go around. So run it by them first, but they'll tell you the same things, like this network and just being there, being part of Pioneer experience. Yeah, you could blow it off. You could choose to be parts of some things versus others, but those are the students that are most likely to come back to us and say, like, I'm not finding this, or I'm looking to transfer, or, you know, I just don't feel like this is for me. There's a responsibility that you have in figuring that out. And it shouldn't be intimidating, it should be empowering. Like, this is really your show. You know, we're like supporting cast members and grateful to be part of that. But we're here to help you find your show and do your thing. So part of that is taking a step outside of what's comfortable for you. And a big part of that involves asking questions and formulating relationships. Many of those that we will tell you right now are being spoon-fed to you. So your Pioneer Ambassador and the people that you meet at Pioneer Experience, that's a ready-made tribe. They are people who have been through it in your ambassadors, but also students who have been through what it means to take this group of courses that everyone dreads within your major, because we all have them since the dawn of time. There's like the one class that everyone's like, you have to do it, right? So we've all had that. That's part of this. And so connecting to people who are within that same experience is really important to you, not feeling isolated, for you feeling like you have this experience that you always imagined it to be. So, you know, just raise a hand, connect to us, Emily, myself, like, don't be afraid. I was the biggest screw up you could ever imagine, and wear that like a badge of honor. So if I can help you to understand how all of that maps to a much greater purpose, I'm proud to be part of that journey. And I think all of us who do this work are happy to be part of that journey. So ask away.
And when it comes to orientation, just so everybody knows, professional staff, faculty, like, we are excited about Pioneer Experience. Like, this is a time where after a few months of having our batteries recharged and students off campus, like, I will speak for myself and for a few others. Like, I know that this is an exciting time for us. So we're going to be pumped. We're going to be stoked to see you. So come in with the same attitude, and it will really be quite the impactful week. So with that, we are over our time here with this webinar, and I want to give everybody here on the panel just one last chance to say a parting word or maybe a joke or whatever you feel is appropriate. So Thom, what's your final thoughts?
Get involved day one. We make it easy, but that's something you need to do. Trust me.
Emily, what do you say?
Check your email. Please read your email. It's a big one. Daily. If you get something from me, I promise I'm not sending you cat memes. It's important. Please read your email. If you want me to send you the memes, I will. But if you get an email from a faculty member, you get an email from your student success coordinator, it's important. Make sure you are reading and responding.
Molly, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I represent the biggest screw ups in all of humanity. And so I just want you to know that that college is, in fact, designed for you to screw up in every way that you can. You know, there are very few, and that's not to me. So understand what those few are. There are very few things that we can't fix. And so, you know, we know the development that happens during this time. We know that not everybody's on the same page. We respect, because that's us and part of our experience, what it feels like to feel like you're the only person in your entire class that doesn't have it figured out. So this, again, if you take nothing more, come to the center if you just need to talk. You know, if you just need some guidance, we're here.
Awesome. Thom, Emily, Molly, thank you all for being here. I also want to thank, obviously, all the students and or parents that joined. I think that this is a really great way to start off your time at Point Park. If you ever need anything from me, I will drop my email quickly in the chat, and my office is on the 7th floor of the Student Center. Otherwise, I hope everybody has an amazing summer. Do not be strangers. You can reach out to us now, and if not, we will see you on campus this fall. Thanks for being here, everybody. Be safe, and yeah, goodbye.